Okay, thank you. This is the meeting of the Appointments Advisory Committee. Appreciate all of you being here. Members of the committee are hereby advised of their duty under the State Government Ethics Act to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflict, and are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter coming before the committee with respect to which there's a conflict of interest or appearance of conflict. Are there any conflicts that we need to note at this time? Okay, all right. If one arises during the meeting, just let us know, please. So the first matter on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting on July 17th, 2020. You should all have received those with your materials, and I will entertain a motion.
I moved that we adopt the minutes as published.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Let's see, indicate, does everybody know how to virtually raise your hand or check yes? Thank you. Indicate by checking yes. All right.
That's passes unanimous.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to our appointments section, and just make sure that you all saw we are trying to, as we've discussed in the past, most of these committees would benefit from diversity, and that is in all matters geographically, sort of. With some of them, it's the type of practice areas that are on there, the age of the members, the sex, the race, and all matters. So we have tried where we can to include that information. We have provided, each time the resumes and other information about the folks that are interested, and to keep before you this kind of ongoing list of people that are generally interested in appointments. So it's hard to expand these groups, because once you get there, generally, people are reappointed if they want to, but we need to keep trying to get more people involved and interested. So our first one is the Client Security Fund Board of Trustees. There's one appointment to be made. This is a 5-year term, and Judge Calvin Murphy is rotating off, not eligible for reappointment. So we do have that seat to fill. And I will open for a discussion or motion or whatever else.
I did notice that we didn't have, that it was all men on that committee.
Correct.
Sort of seemed unusual, but I guess it's small, and that's what happened.
Looking for my list on that one. Let's see. It is a small committee. There are currently 4 people on there. With Calvin Murphy rotating off, it happens to be 3 white males. So, which if it is, it is. So we have this general list of folks that are interested, and then we also have Fred Moody, who's not in the list, if you want to look at that. All these would be good folks.
I'm sorry, Barbara, this is Brian. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Amy Richardson was appointed to serve on the Client Security Fund earlier this year.
Okay, maybe we just don't have that on our materials.
Barbara, Lenice is on, I think Lenice is on the line. Lenice, can you confirm about Amy Richardson?
I'll take a look. I don't remember that, but that may have been before my time. So I'll take a look and confirm it.
That's okay. All right. And that's just a point of interest. We still have this list of names. We do not have a recommendation from the Client Security Fund Board, and
Yeah, that board has 5 appointments on it.
so we must.
Well, there's one person missing off the list.
Well, good.
And Brian, I don't have my committee list, so Brian may have his committee list with him, and that sounds right to me.
It is. It's Amy Richardson. I just
Yeah.
put the list in the chat.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yep.
thank you.
Brian just has that steel trap of a mind there.
Here you go.
Thanks. That's
Yeah, and we don't know what race Amy is. I don't know if somebody else does.
She's white,
Okay.
female. She was somebody that,
'Cause
she'd been to bar meetings and things before.
So Calvin rotating off means that it will be an all-white
Yeah.
board.
I noticed we had Erica Jones and Josephine Teta and that both I think are African American, and Anna Nunez maybe Hispanic. I'm not sure, but I think Josephine and Erica are both African American and both had expressed interest in serving in some capacity.
Well, this is an opportunity that we don't often have to have a truly sort of open position here. So I think we really do need to be looking at this list of names before us of people that have said that they want to serve.
Does anyone know Josephine or Erica, either one?
I know Erica Jones.
Erica as well.
Yeah, she had a matter, an ethics inquiry that went before the ethics committee a number of years ago. And I thought she was, it was about her own position, and she changed firms, and it was an issue about, representing other parties. And I thought she was really quite good. I think she's younger, which I also think is a good thing as well. And she's articulate, and I don't think she would have any problem with holding her own in that the company of the other folks on that board.
Maybe-
I actually
maybe
would
to
jump in
nominate.
and concur. I know Erica very, very well. We are actually classmates from law school, as well as we're good friends. And so I know her just as Alice spoke about her is all absolutely true. And I was kind of looking at other appointments that we need to make and looking at, what I think that she would fit for any of these. But if there are some other appointments that we think there are folks that we definitely know have an interest specifically in those, I think this will be a good one for her. She is very detailed. She's very organized. She's going to be committed. I was glad to see that she actually put her name in to be looked at, to be put on one of these committees. So yeah, I would strongly advocate for her and would support her.
I would move to nominate her for the vacant position.
I would second that.
Catherine Fry's got her hand up.
Catherine?
Oh, I was actually just going to make a motion, and
Yep.
Colin and Mark stole my thunder, so I'll just wait.
And look, man, I thought I was going to get to do it too, Catherine.
You guys got to be quick.
I see.
All right. Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Erica Jones for the vacant position on the Client Security Fund. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, please use your buttons to vote. Right.
That's unanimous.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that'll be great. Hopefully she is still willing and interested. Will somebody reach out to her?
I'm doing that as we speak.
Oh, great. That's great. We typically send a letter of notice, but yeah, it'd be nice to let her know ahead of time, because I think it's been a little while since she indicated her general interest in serving.
And it would be nice to know in case she said she wasn't, so we might
Right.
Yeah.
have to do something.
I was trying to get to it a little quickly, but yes, I'm working on it.
Well, that's pretty quick. All right, thank you. Our next matter is still with the Client Security Fund, and we need to appoint the chair and vice chair annually. Judge Murphy, who's rotating off, is the current chair. Traditionally, they go with the longest serving members on there. Not bound to do that, but the next would be Erwin Fuller would be the most senior person left, and then behind him would be Tom Lunsford. So we need a motion for a chair and vice chair of the Client Security Fund Board.
I would move for Irvin Fuller as chair and Tom Lunsford as vice chair.
I will second Catherine.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please vote. Okay, I think that motion passes.
Yep.
Barbara, this is Gordon. Would you note that I abstained from the vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you hear that? Whoever's taking notes.
I am, Barbara, I got it.
All right, thank you.
And Gordon, that was just abstain from the vote on the chair and vice chair, right?
That's it, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Our next item is Board of Law Examiners. And I will note there's 3 appointments for 3-year terms. We technically do have another vacancy on the board, and that is the seat that's currently was held by Judge Spainhour, who recently passed away, and we're going to consider that one in January. So at this point, we're considering the 3 appointments, Roger Askew, George Hicks, and Judge Mangum, and they are all eligible for reappointment, and I assume that they all are interested in being reappointed at this point.
Yes, they are.
And I will note, just in passing, I'm sure you all saw it, and you'll see in January when it comes up, that we have an enormous amount of interest for the Board of Law Examiners. So I'm not sure why, but we do. Even isn't this the one we have somebody that lives in Ohio that wants to be on the Board of Law Examiners?
Yeah.
Wow.
A little strange.
Yeah.
We can't, Lenise and I can't quite figure that out, but we're assured that that's where his interest is.
So large group of people that are interested, 3 appointments to be made, and the 3 current folks are all eligible for reappointment. So in light of that, I'll consider a motion.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
And when are their terms actually end?
You mean what month?
Yes.
Gotcha.
It seems like it is implicit since we're looking to make the appointments right now, but I wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
And Lenise may be able to help us with that. She's got a notebook that's got all this detail in there.
It's in our material, but that's the one.
It's
that I
terms
can't-
begin November 1.
Okay.
We make the appointments in October and the terms begin November 1. And I would just point out that the folks, either the chair or Lee Valhos, the executive director, would have notified us if any of these folks did not want to be reappointed, or if there was a recommendation not to reappoint.
Okay, so our assumption is correct, that they are all interested in staying and that the board is interested in, is happy with their service.
Yes.
Hey, Barbara,
Yes,
Todd, did you say that the, at least heretofore protocol, not that we have to follow it, is to have folks who are eligible for reappointment reappointed unless they've somehow disqualified themselves?
that has been sort of the general custom
Okay, thank you.
do that.
Well, I would make a motion that we reappoint Roger Askew, George Hicks, and Judge Ned Mangum.
Thank you. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, the motion is to reappoint. Roger Askew, George Hicks, and Judge Ned Mangum. All in favor, please indicate by voting. All right, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to our next item, which is the Board of Continuing Legal Education. There are 3 appointments. These are for 3-year terms. And as you'll see there, all of these folks need to be active members of the state bar. So we have, in this case, Robert Kemp is eligible for reappointment. Judge McGee is not eligible for reappointment. J. Dixon Phillips is not eligible for reappointment. So we may want to consider these separately, however you want to. So I would entertain a motion if someone wants to speak as to Robert Kemp only.
I would move we reappoint Robert Kemp to the Board of Continuing Legal Education.
Second. Thank you,
Second.
Catherine. Any further discussion? This motion is for the reappointment of Robert Kemp. All in favor, please vote. Or those opposed.
Josh Malcolm, did you have a comment? You were just checked the wrong thing. Okay.
All right, the motion passes. Okay, then we have 2 appointments to be made to the CLE board. And we can open discussion on that.
Judge Rader?
I would nominate Judge Ashley Dunstan for one of these slots. In looking at the current board members, it is all white, which is, I think, unusual. I chaired this board years ago, served on it for about 6 years, and I don't think we ever had a situation where it was an all-white board, which I think is unusual. I think we, as expressed earlier, I think we could certainly benefit from diversity. I know diversity, equity, inclusion has been a topic that the CLE board has looked at recently. As a matter of fact, I think Judge Dunstan has actually participated in some discussions with that committee. And I know she has specifically expressed interest in this board. I think she would be a good asset. So that would be my motion.
Thank you.
I would
I'll
second that
second that.
motion.
I'll second it.
I'll second it, as well as I thought that we had discussion about her when she did express interest initially, that we would circle back around, because I thought it was some discussion, if I remember correctly, about it being so many other judges on that committee to her when it came time again.
So now we're losing a judge, so we're just kind of net.
Right.
Interestingly
Correct.
enough, that's a majority female board. Just passing comments.
I noted that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they get so much done.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what I was thinking. Okay, well, we have a motion and a second that as to one of these seats that Judge Ashley Parker Dunstan be appointed. So let's just go ahead and vote on that, please. Okay. Thank you. I think the ayes have it. Okay. And looking at our list, you have a separate list there for you of folks that are interested in serving on the CLE board. Anybody else?
I wanted to consider Paul Capua. I know that's a current counselor's brother, I believe, but he has a interesting practice that in part has been out of the state. And I think that that may bring an interesting dynamic to this board, just to have someone who's spent at least a considerable amount of time practicing out of state. Now he's also from, I guess, Boone Blowing Rock, and we have one member from that committee, but I would support him in consideration for that last spot.
I would second that.
So we have a motion for Paul Capua from Boone, and that motion has been seconded. Any further discussion?
Maybe they can carpool.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
If we do carpooling again.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, then we will go ahead and vote on Paul Capua. All right. I think the ayes have it on that. Thank you. Catherine, do you want to speak to Andrea and see if she'll just check with him, make sure he's still interested?
Yes, I can do the same with Judge Dunstan unless somebody's heard from her recently.
I think that's fine.
I just sent her a text as well, so.
Okay.
Okay, well, if you're texting her, I will reach out to Andrea.
They were, maybe it was Wheel of Fortune or something I was watching the other night, and they were showing a flashback of some of their things, and the hint was thing, and the answer was Rolodex. Whoever was sitting in the room with me said, "What is that?"
Oh, no.
That's funny.
There are a few of us dinosaurs that still have
I
it.
love
Hey, I have one too.
That is funny.
you still use it is the question.
That's the question, right?
Every now and then.
Funny.
So I was just thinking about that when Dorothy's so quickly saying I texted her. I'm thinking about I have to look it in my Rolodex. All right. Okay, on the Continuing Legal Education Board, then we need to appoint a chair and a vice chair. George Jenkins is the current chair, and Judge Elizabeth Keever, Beth Keever of Fayetteville, is the current vice chair, and both are eligible for reappointment. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint George Jenkins as the chair and Judge Elizabeth Keever as the vice chair.
All right, thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, please vote. Thank you. Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Our next item is NC Leaf, and there is one appointment for a 3-year term. And William Purcell of Laurinburg is eligible for reappointment. The big board, there are 24 people on it.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Mr. Purcell.
Thank you, Joshua. Second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, please vote. All right, the ayes have it. Okay, Board of Paralegal Certification. There are 3 appointments. 2 of these are for paralegals and 1 is for a lawyer appointment. And the 3 folks that are terms are up are all eligible for reappointment. That'd be Russell Neighbors, who is the lawyer appointment. It's one of our counselors, Lakeisha Chichester and Sarah Kaufman. I have
I would move that we reappoint Russell Neighbors, Lakeisha Cheister, and Sarah Kaufman to the Board of Paralegal Certification.
I'll
thanks.
second that motion.
Okay, thank you. We have the motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, then please go ahead and vote. Okay, I think the ayes have it on that. Right. And just to back up, I know you all saw the note on the NC Leaf that we had previously thought those were one-year appointments. They are three-year appointments, so we'll have that correct going forward.
Okay.
Board of Paralegal Certification, we need to appoint the chair and the vice chair. Warren Hodges is the current chair and Brian Scott, current vice chair. Both are eligible for reappointment. Do I have a motion on that?
I move appointment of Warren Hodges as chair and Brian Scott as vice chair.
Second.
Okay, we have the motion and the second. Any further discussion? Okay, please vote. All right, thank you. I think the motion passes. Okay, our next item is the Judicial Standards Commission. There are two appointments. These are 6-year terms. And we have Forrest Farrell, who's currently serving, William H. Jones currently serving, and they are not eligible for reappointment. And there was a letter written to us. I hope you all had a chance to look at it. We had several letters about this. We had one from Judicial Standards talking about what's kind of entailed, the qualifications they need for someone to serve on that board, and also suggesting that geographical diversity is good. And then we had some letters. We had folks that indicated they were interested and some letters endorsing certain folks. So I will just sort of throw this open for discussion, motion, however you'd like to proceed.
Chair, I'd like to be heard.
Thank you, Alan. Go ahead.
I would like to put forth the name of Michael Kroll, who is a recently retired professor of law and government at the School of Government in Chapel Hill. His particular areas of expertise were judicial authority and administration and election law, judicial standards to judges. It's sort of like grievance committee is to lawyers, and I beg a little deference on this one. If you're talking about somebody qualified, you couldn't ask for one who's more qualified. He probably skews the aspirational goals of diversity and geography, but in my opinion, very rarely does somebody disqualified come along. He is the go-to guy that all the judges in the state of North Carolina over the last 15 or 20 years went to avoid all the judicial and legal landmines that they incur as they practice and they presided day to day. I step down from the bench a lot to go call Michael to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. And I just put forward this person as an exceptional talent. This is a round peg in a round hole. It's a perfect fit. And I urge this committee to give him your most favorable consideration. I put 2 or 3 exclamation points behind this. Thank you very much. I'd urge others that might know Mr. Kroll to please weigh in on this. I know he knows several of you on this committee. Thank you very much.
So he's from Chapel Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Kroll. Let's see his name.
I too.
Barbara, may I speak? Oh, go ahead.
I'll defer to you, sir.
Okay, Gordon.
Okay. I've known Michael for many years. As you know, I'm from Chapel Hill and had an intersection with him when I was at the law school and after. He's first rate, fair-minded, open-minded, creative. I like the way Alan describes him as being a go-to person, I consider him the Alice Mine of the court system. There's no higher praise
That
than
is
that.
really high praise, Gordon.
Yeah. But he's a hard worker, and he's fresh. He's takes care of himself. He can go the distance, even at that old age, which is about my old age.
Not old at all. Joshua, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, I was just going to say I got to know Michael very well through my election work, and I think the earlier speaker said it quite well. Although he's not from rural North Carolina, he gets it. He gets rural North Carolina, and I would support his nomination as well.
Barbara, I'd like to point out that I'm not on the Judicial Standards Commission. I was appointed for one case that Lonnie Player had a conflict on, so for what that's worth.
Okay, all right. So we see your name on there, but you are not on there. That's what you're
We
saying.
have Colin and then Judge Rader with hands up.
Actually, mine was to nominate another player. I just, after this one's over with, I do that. I know Mike Kroll, and he's a good person, but I was just going to nominate another person for another one, not in
Okay,
competition for
so
this. Just do me next.
Okay, let me just back up and say we've had 3 people speak on Michael Kroll. And Judge Cobb, I would take that as a motion on your part, and then I would think that
I
Gordon-
second it. I
Okay,
second it.
that's second. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure we had that there, that motion
Right.
and that second.
Right.
All right.
So I just wanted to chime in as well, because I've known Michael Kroll for many years in his capacity, both as a practicing lawyer as well as a professor at the School of Government. And as some of you may know, Michael goes back to a point in time when he was executive director of and staffed the Futures Commission, the Medlin Commission that was on the future of the courts some years ago. And his knowledge of the court system is pretty amazing. I mean, it's right up there with Jim Drennan and others. And as Judge Cobb said, judges consult with the School of Government occasionally on issues, and most of them have subject matter specific areas that they concentrate in, criminal law, domestic law, or so on. Michael Kroll's was more administration of justice, and he was the person that a lot of judges went to when you had really challenging administrative issues or technical issues like recusal or things like that. And he was an incredible resource for all the judges. And I think it would be hard pressed for us to find somebody with his qualifications and his understanding of the role of judges that's willing to serve in this capacity. And for some reason, it appears that there's big demand for people wanting to sit in judgment of judges today on this commission. So I wholeheartedly support the appointment of Michael to this position. I think that we'd be well served.
All right. Thank you. Any further discussion on the nomination of Michael Kroll? Okay. Then let's go ahead and vote on that, please.
That's unanimous.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. And we have another seat. Colin, did you want to be recognized?
I did. I wanted to nominate Mike Grace, who is a lawyer that practices in Forsyth County primarily. But Mike has been around for, I don't know, 35 years or practicing law. He does both a extensive criminal and civil practice. He travels around the state. If you look at his resume and his background he submitted, I mean, he worked in Washington, D.C. as a young lawyer. He just has a wonderful background of a trial lawyer and being involved in government. I have known him for probably 20 plus years. I have worked with him when we had differing interests, and have worked with him when we had similar interests. Just impeccable integrity, great judgment, wonderful demeanor. I think he would add a lot to the body. He's seen judges in many of our both rural and urban areas, and would be able to be a good barometer of what conduct was appropriate and what was not. And I think he would be a great addition to this board, both in terms of the geographic diversity, but also he's African American, and we don't have a lot of those because so many of these positions are fixed. I would nominate Mike Grace.
I second that.
I second. Mhm.
I've known Mike since I came to town here in Winston-Salem, and he heads up a prominent law firm. He's got an excellent reputation, excellent demeanor. He can be very fair and impartial. I think Colin's correct in all other respects that he would do a great job.
I would agree and concur with everything. The only other piece that I would add that's a little different is that I know him to have been a mentor to a lot of young lawyers, and I just put young lawyers, but actually to other lawyers in general. And I know that a lot of the guidance and conversations that he has with everyone, and those lawyers in particular, are about these very things, ethics and things like that. So I think that he would be phenomenal.
Okay, so we have Michael Grace, who has been nominated second, thirded, fourth. So any further discussion?
I would just make two notes, and
Okay.
that is that Wanda Bryant, who is the chair of the commission, did write and ask that we look for somebody from the eastern part of the state or the western part of the state, and I think we're giving them two nominees that are from the center of the state. Just to point that out. And the other thing is that we have at least two counselors who have written in their support for George Laffram. We have David Allen did that, and then we got a letter, another 2 letters of support for him from counselors, and I'm afraid I didn't print the letters off, but
They were with our material.
okay, they were in
yeah,
the supplemental stuff.
Yeah, and
So, I'm just
right.
pointing that out. I'm not making any recommendation. I just want you to be aware of those things.
Well, I think we did talk about the geographic diversity that she asked for. And so, yes, we are somewhat in the east and somewhat in the west, but just not far on either side of those. She did also note that it's important to be able to come to the meetings. And anyway, we need to get the right people for the position. And if they can happen to be far east, far west, that's great. But if they're Chapel Hill and Winston-Salem, that's fine also. And she's right, it was David Allen and I think it was Gina Morris that wrote the other.
And Eben Rawls as well, I think, the 3 of them. David Allen, Eben Rawls, and Gina Morris, at least, I think all wrote me about George.
It's a good problem to have more good candidates than you have positions, but there we are.
Right.
So with that understanding, and I thank you, Alice, we'll go ahead and vote on Michael Grace, and then if we need to, we'll consider other candidates. So all, please go ahead and indicate your vote.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm having difficulty hitting my button, but I vote yes.
Okay, all right,
That's unanimous.
okay, all right.
Okay, I see it.
Thank you. I think they'll both do a good job. And I just want to say I appreciate the thoughtfulness and the preparedness of this group. You all have done a great job this year with these appointments. And I think we are making some steps toward kind of expanding and bringing some new folks into these positions. So, is
Barbara,
there
Dorothy has her hand up.
any other business? Good. Dorothy?
I'm so sorry. I put this in the chat, but I feel compelled to say this out loud that I actually, when I was speaking on Erica Jones, I was speaking on the wrong Erica Jones. But that this Erica Jones is still a great person and would make a great asset to that committee. But this is not the one that was my classmate, and I know as well when I got the information back. I didn't catch that with the materials.
Okay.
I also spoke with Judge Parker Dunstan, and she said absolutely. So yes, she is excited about this.
Okay. So does that mean that somebody needs to reach out to the other Erica Jones? Is she not in your Rolodex?
She's not in my Rolodex, but I'm sure that I could get her information and get in touch with her, but she's not in my quick, fast Rolodex.
Yeah, there you go. Well, then we can just have someone reach out to her in the normal course, I think.
And I apologize for that too.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
What is the normal course of things? Is it permissible for me to contact Michael Crowell at this point?
Yeah. Alice, is there any reason
There's no prohibition on it, Alan, at all. And generally speaking, the recommendations of the appointments committee are accepted by executive and then forwarded to the council, and there's no objection on the council. So the one thing I would say is if you contact him that say that he has been nominated by the appointments committee, but still has to go through the process.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that's fine. And we do that sometimes to make sure that people still are interested. So with that caveat.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Alice?
Yeah, Barbara, so I wanted to just let you know that Lanice Heidbrink, who I think is still on this call, and I have been working very hard to try to provide the information that is in these charts. It's tremendously detailed and can be hard to keep track of all of the different moving parts. We are continuing to work on our process. There were a few things that I noted we hadn't gotten quite right, but we will continue to work on that. The one thing I would note is that with regard really to race and gender, we are just making some assumptions unless we know the person. And we tried to make that clear in the cover of the agenda, so you know that. And also with year licensed, we're making some assumptions there, although we've tested out our assumption that most people are 25 when they're licensed, and that seems to hold fairly true. So that also gives you a way of having a rough benchmark for age. So that's really our objective. If you see anything that you think we could be doing better in terms of conveying this information to you, please let us know. And I mostly want to do a shout out to Lanice, because she is the one who is carrying the laboring oar on this, and she's done a fantastic job, and I'm just really grateful to her for that.
And I do appreciate it. I know, hey, Lanice, I know you've trying to find pictures of these folks or information if you could, and it just helps inform us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I say something?
Absolutely.
It really has been helpful, Lanice. Thank you for putting this together.
Thank you.
And I wondered if there were, we get the grievance things with the little index on the left side. Is there any way we could add something like, particularly like for the list of the tabs for folks, that it makes it easy to kind of jump back and look at things? And I don't know whether that's
I mean, bookmarks?
Yeah, bookmarks. That's the right word.
They should be on there.
Okay.
When on the side there should be a little arrow, and then you can click and it expands it up.
Okay.
Yeah, mine didn't work on mine either, Colin, but we usually do that. I don't know if there's some program you can do here or whatever. Mine didn't pop up. They had two of them and that was it. But you
need to expand those two. Like if you hit the little arrow next to the other one, it will expand those two out. But yeah, I see.
It's probably an operator issue for me.
Yeah. For what it's worth, it did work.
Do that. Oh, there it is. I got it.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
Yes, operator error.
Just issue.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's a miracle.
Is there, and you will see that what we have before us in January. So,
Okay.
not much at this point. So, is there any other matters to come before this board?
Judge Rader has his hand up.
Well, I was just going to mention one thing just in passing for Judicial Standards Commission for future reference. I know each of these boards and commissions have their own little statutory requirements, but judicial standards on our appointments requires that the attorney, that the person be a member of the state bar for at least 10 years and have actively practiced for 10 years. So I just noticed today in going through the list, there were about 8 people or so who did not qualify just on that alone. So
Thank
just
you.
keep that
That's
in mind.
very
in the
helpful.
future. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll try to note that, even though they're on the general consider me for everything, we'll go back and look in
Well,
the future.
Having the year license was very helpful in the little chart.
Sure. Good. Thank you. Lot to keep up with.
I agree.
All right. Thank you all. And there's no further business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye.